Alright, making a video. Yeah, I believe that's what it is, yes. Oh yes, some Brett Keane crap. And Dawn. Anyway, I don't think it'll be a funny video. Yeah, not on purpose anyway. Just go through some crap that's on my mind. So, I did see that the drunken peasants played part of the FakeSagan I'm leaving video. But they obviously just kind of avoided mentioning my role, which is kind of bogus and irritating. But anyway, we'll see if they we'll see if they make anything out of the FakeSagan going insane part. So anyway, so FakeSagan interviewed Brett Keane now. Chris, let's just say he's Chris. And yeah, he's calmed down quite a bit. And I don't have any, I really don't have any hard feelings. It's not like I don't have any real issue with FakeSagan, except FakeSagan's forcing me to have his same definition of a good cause. And I want to talk about that some more, and definition of what's appropriate response to people you think are deplorables. Like somehow you're obligated in some way to, like if a Klan member walks in front of my house, I'm somehow obligated to be respectful, that I can't throw acorns at him. Or at least I can't speak some kind of words and say, gee, you're a shithead. It's not an entitlement of mine to say, these people are gaming you. I'm not allowed to say that. Well, fuck that shit. But anyway, so that's what I violated some sacred, precious thing. And that's okay. You're entitled to have that opinion. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna mock it and laugh at it, in terms of what it says about your values. But again, like I said, my issue isn't with FakeSagan. My issue was with Jesus Freak. And this whole pile of shit that is this need to raise money from the public. I mean, it's just, stealing from the poor to give to the well-off. So anyway, and I saw a little bit of the interview with Jesus Freak with Brett Keane, but I couldn't watch. I mean, once he started showing his toy trucks and stuff, you're just like, this guy's a child. But what we don't get to know is what's the percentage of Jesus Freak's house that's under mortgage? How many houses does he own? Reasonable questions. I mean, he's soliciting money on the internet for some thing that his family needs, and we don't have any answers. And again, why didn't insurance cover this? We got no explanations whatsoever. And we have people who, because there's a pretty girl as a poster child, sit there and get all get suckered. That's all I see. It's just like, it's less like Brett Keane cramming crosses. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crosses, and in his regular thing, he has a big giant one from a guy who says he's not really a Christian. Well, he seems to be using the symbols of Christianity, one of the most sacred ones. And isn't it sort of, let's just say it straight, I mean, isn't it sort of just mocking the cross to be using it to promote your TV show? I'm going to put God in the title of my show. This is the, God brought to you by Brett Keane. I'm sure God wants to be something brought to you by. I'm sure God wants to be a commercial on your TV show. I mean, it's just grotesquely insincere. If you really believed in Jesus, do you think this is how you would behave? You're not stylish enough. Let's be more stylish. I mean, come on. I mean, this is just layered in bullshit. And so for FakeSagan, okay, he's falling for it. He thinks that to be a reclamated human, to be a decent person, he needs to do it this 10-step way. He needs to create a fake deity to be obedient to, because he can't do it out of love for people. He has to do it out of love for a deity. Because people really aren't worth his give a damn. I do it because I have a kind of a love for innocent little creatures that are being slaughtered every day. Living in a wild, horrid environment. You know, kind of the world you lived in. Just punch it and rape it and eat it. You know, take. And they have to face that every day as children. And yet they all talk about how they were abused as children, yet they have no conception of how that happens and why that happens. It's because a bunch of unqualified people are replicating. Because you're all saying it's okay. It's okay to be unqualified. It's okay. It's your right. You don't have to put responsibility with your right. Rights come with no responsibilities. I mean, you don't have to be a Christian to understand that's nonsense. Pathetic nonsense. I mean, apparently you have to be a Christian. I mean, it's a kind of the obligation of the Christian religion. Don't use a condom. Don't interfere with God's will. Because God made your penis and your nipples, if you're a male. Because God really didn't know what the fuck he was doing, right? I mean, there's just, you know, there's no point in going on through all the biological evidence, all this other stuff, and Brett Keane knows all of this evidence. So what do you tell, how you know, this is just bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That your only choice is God or nihilism. That's nonsense. Insanely nonsensical. I mean, all I have to do is pet a dog, not to be a nihilist. Not run over the cat. You see the cat sleeping underneath your tire and you just say, hey, move along there, kitty. Not there, you're not a nihilist anymore. It's not hard not to be a nihilist. I mean, fuck. This is all such a crock of shit. So anyway, so you know, Brett, of course, he just gave the standard answers. His revisionist history. We all look, when he did the plagiarism thing, if he would have just fessed up in the beginning, there wouldn't have been a problem. But what did he do? He tried to pretend it didn't happen, and then he tried to sabotage the people who pointed out it did happen. And one of them was that insane, everlasting, dying love or whatever, who I ended up suing later. You know, did you a favor, Brett, because yeah, I got her off the internet. With Joneser, by obliging them to defend themselves, which they never had to do because the freaking judges are corrupt. But then again, these are all these lies, right? So I wanted to play the Brett Keane video because I never really listened to it all the way through. But look at the title. So this is your Christianity again. Here's Christianity at work. Inmendham's atheist death cult of misery and suffering. So first off, to say I have a cult of some kind is a grotesque lie. I mean, you're the one trying to have a ministry, fuckhead. You're the one trying to sucker people. Go ahead and show where I've culted in any way, I've organized in any way, I'm manipulating anybody in any way. Show where I have lied to my congregation, cunt. Anyway, so it's not a cult, quite obviously. And then he says, of misery and suffering, when those are exactly the arguments we're making. That those are bad things. So he just overtly lies. And then the death part. What death are we advocating for beyond the non-procreation of humans? And yes, eventually you have to, you know, probably have to exterminate all the cockroaches because you can't put condoms on all their little dicks. But you kill animals every day and eat them, you fucking cunt. So what kind of death are you talking about? So this is your Christianity. This is your honest witness right here. This statement is an honest statement with Jesus' cross plastered on it. That's what that is, huh, Brett? Or are you what you have been described as? Just a lying, manipulative, you're still a nihilist. That's why, you know, he put his hand on the Bible when he talked to FakeSagan, like that can possibly mean anything. When we know all kinds of people put their hand on a Bible and then violated every single thing they promised not to do. Clearly, and especially nihilists, people who admit, I was a nihilist. They admit that's what they were. And now they're pretending not to be. Well, that's easy to do, isn't it? But it's just as rational for somebody to suspect I'm being duped, because all I see is symbols of Christianity. I don't see any Christianity in this shit. So again, I was telling the history story. So the history was that Brett Keane did a lot of sabotage, a lot of dishonest behavior, a lot of lies and bullshit. And he got kicked off of YouTube for it. And he couldn't come back for years on YouTube because his crimes were so egregious by Google standards. And that's the truth of it, Brett. And then this revisionist on his restraining order, well, you've only got two choices here. If you're going to say you were completely innocent, then you have to say your wife is completely guilty. So instead of making outros and whatever hat videos, maybe she should be making some videos doing some penance work, doing something to make up for the fact that she lied, okay, an illegal document, sweared to a lie, and that, worse than that, okay, she did this huge damage to all women everywhere. She made them all suspect by being just a lying cunt. And then maybe she should doing some videos in tears about how that is the most disgusting thing she did in her fucking life. But maybe she did something more disgusting. But I don't see any of that. I don't see her doing any videos telling people, like if you were a drunk driver there, Brett, maybe you'd do some videos telling people, hey, stay away from alcohol. Bad news. And if you can't stay away from it, don't do this stupid thing. Don't drink and drive. I know, I killed 4 people. Where's her videos showing us any remorse or any sense of the crime, not only the crime against the sin by the Bible's dictates, even though she was an atheist then, doesn't matter, by the Bible's dictates it's a sin, but it's a crime against society, it's a crime against civilization, it's a crime against every woman in the world. Where's the attrition here, Brett? So one of you needs to fess up. One of you needs to admit that a real crime was committed. You can't play this stupid game that, yeah, there's just an imaginary crime. There was no real crime committed against anything anywhere. No principle was violated. No rule was violated. Now somebody violated a rule. A substantial rule. Either you fucking did something aggressive towards your wife to deserve a restraining order, or your wife did something so fucking illegal and so fucking obnoxious that she should be on her knees to this audience saying, don't let your anger, or don't let your pettiness, or don't let your mother-in-law, whatever the excuse is, talk you into breaking the law. So anyway, so that's more of this crap. This fucking theater of bullshit. Alright, so I'll get to Tommy from the Bronx. What I wanted to say was, that, I don't really have time right now, but I was thinking I really do want to do a compilation video of the best of the beginning and the end of the FakeSagan drama. So I would like the little speech in there where I said about, men as dogs and they'll hump anything, where I was sort of giving Stephanie advice that you really don't need to do this surgery thing right away, that especially the 16-year-old boys, they can hump anything. They don't care what part of your body their dick is next to. It just doesn't fucking really matter. So don't go rushing into something stupid, and then go into all the other crap, all the FuckPouches. So if somebody wants to compile the best of, the Tommy video, the regarding the whatever, I'd appreciate it. A nice 2 minutes of all those jokes had back to back would be nice. Because there's always some dead spaces in those videos, so it'd be nice just to get the best of. Because I don't regret bringing this up, and I don't regret being vulgar about it. Because this is bullshit. This is typical Christian fucking behavior. It's all fucking talk. It's all bullshit. It's all wrapped in fucking empty words. Just fucking empty goddamn words. Anyway. Yeah. So there's probably more to say. But I mean, this really does offend me. This cunt using these Christian symbols as if he gives a shit about any of that crap. As he has any respect at all for it. But then, okay, so in the FakeSagan interview, you know, they sort of, you know, they talk about this this idea, just in a vague sense, of, you know, this idea of dying and the fact that they think they're going to go somewhere. And it's all such a fraud, right? Brett talks about how much he loves his wife and children. Well, guess what, Brett? You're not going to be living in a duplex or something. You're not even going to be in the same neighborhood with any of those people. Because Jesus made it clear, the shit of this world has nothing to do with the shit of that world. So all that's going to heaven is some piece of you that's supposed to mean something, but it has no memories, it has no knowledge. Because that would not make a very good heaven, right? I mean, when they constructed this stupid, idiotic, moronic religion, they were smart enough to figure out that, well, wait a minute, if people have horrible memories of their children dying or their brother dying in a horrible way and all these horrible memories, well, shit, they would be sucked to go up to heaven and just, you know, lament. And certainly it'd be no good to go to heaven and find out my brother's in hell. That's going to upset the fuck out of you. So that it just doesn't really work to have these entanglements. You know, and then there's the problem of a first wife and a second wife. Your wife dies. Well, what wife do you go to heaven with? Right, you love them both. So what now? You got to do some kind of twosome, threesome thingy or some kind of bullshit. So they figured out that there's no way to make this world into a utopia and throw it up into heaven. There's no way to make this conflict and competition and ego shit. There's no way to convert that into any kind of bliss and some kind of you know, virtual paradise. Can't be done because we make too many mistakes in our lives. There's too many eggs broken. There's too many Humpty Dumptys off the fucking wall, and it won't fucking work. So instead, they give you this friggin' trivial description of heaven in the Bible, rubies and diamonds all around this heavenly cloud of, you know, golden highways to nowhere. You just walk a bunch of yellow brick roads in circles forever, going poofter, poofter, doofter, doofter. That's it. There's no paradise up there. At best, you go back to some Garden of Eden as some guy that's not you. It won't be you. It won't be your memories. It won't be your character in any way. Because your character is completely built out of your memories. Without their presence, without knowledge of them, you're not going to be able to construct the same kind of thought process that depresses you or motivates you. Because it's a process. You see something, it reminds you of 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 something. All those chains are going to be broken. So how will you won't even be carrying your same integrity, the integrity of your experiences, what it has made you. Like I said, I appreciate what some of the stuff FakeSagan says because it seems quite honest. He's admitting to some pretty horrendous things, hitting a woman and stuff like that. I mean, that takes balls. And it's damn respectable. But that should be all the attrition he needs. That's all the reclamation you need, is to just say, hey, I was a shithead and I'm not going to be one anymore. I'm going to have a different kind of sequence of buttons in my head. And I'm going to know what the right road is and the wrong road is in terms of how those buttons go. I'll be able to see when they're going into the toilet. And I'll be able to see when they're sitting up straight and got their boots on. But you don't need God to do any of this shit. And certainly the fake promise of everlasting comatose. Everlasting, I'll live as somebody else, someplace else. Wow, what a great promise. I get to be someone else, somewhere else. How cool is that? Not very cool at all. No, thank you very much. Now, if you want to threaten me, if your God wants to threaten to torture me because I didn't buy it, again, what exactly are you praying to? everlasting torture. So I think both of these guys are pretending there's no real hell. They're pretending the story is different than the story told. They're going to break the story and turn it into their own little fable. So I can do that too. I could say leprechauns don't really climb rainbows. They just use the directionality of the rainbows to point to yellow trees. See, the rainbow, if you follow the rainbow line just right, you'll come to a yellow tree, and the yellow tree has gold under it. Well, that sounds more plausible, right? Yeah, that's not too bad. That might be true. Let's all believe it. So I'm just saying, this is just selling. This is selling. I mean, again, God TV radio. He uses God's fucking name. He takes God's name. He won't call himself a Christian, but he'll fucking take God's God. He'll take the word God and shove it into a promo for Keane. And you're telling me there's a sincere man here somewhere? He really cares about the crap written in this fucking book? I don't think so. So anyway, in the capitalist Christian Jesus freak, fucking hell, how many times does it say in the book? The odds of a rich man, blah blah blah. That doesn't matter. Donald Trump's a great Christian. Because he said, the Bible's my favorite book. There. Great Christian. That's all you gotta do. Hey, to be a great Christian, that's all you gotta do. And give some money to cops. And yeah, give some money to some bankrupt bankers. These are the charities Donald Trump chooses. Bankrupt bankers. Now, why do you think he would give money to bankrupt bankers? Do you think that has something to do with his own interest? So he uses his government-sanctioned foundation to create tax deductible bribes to the criminally connected. Just brilliant. You love that. That's your kind of system, right, buddy? Because that's the kind of racket you're ran. Yeah, I'm sure you're. I'm quite obviously. I think you have a lot more equity in your home. Maybe 10 times more, or maybe 20 times more. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not right. Maybe 200 times more than FakeSagan. FakeSagan's $1,000 was all the equity he had. You have 200,000 times more. 200 times more equity. What sense does this make? Make any sense? No, it makes no sense at all. It's your daughter. You don't want to take responsibility for your problem. And instead you shove it off to the poor people and sucker them with a sympathetic story with no details. I'm not poor. My wife's not poor. No, but it'll compromise our life. I don't want to take out a second mortgage. I don't want to take out a first mortgage. Isn't that really the truth? You don't even want to take out a first mortgage. You want somebody else to pay for it. That's the sham here. You got no money problems. This is just about stealing from dummies. Because you're a crook and a racketeer and a bum. And you're doing it under Jesus's. For Jesus I'm doing this. Jesus is watching what I'm doing and he's saying, yes, this makes perfectly good sense. Your 16-year-old daughter definitely needs a fuck pouch and you certainly shouldn't pay for it. The poor should. Go ask the lepers for the money. And that's basically who, I mean, if somebody isn't damn close to a fucking leper, I don't know what Keane could be described as if he isn't pretty close to having leprosy. I certainly wouldn't touch him, for fuck's sake. I mean, he looks contagious. What the fuck is this shit? Alright, so anyway, so that brings me to Tommy from the Bronx. Who, you know, now I'm pissed off at, right? Because he makes this fucking stupid video about my need to clarify because I merely stated, you know, not perfectly articulately, that me and Tommy are okay. It's not a big deal. Now, as Tommy knows, and as Tommy has heard other people say in videos, well, you could just PM me if you want me to make a retraction. You want me to make a video re-explaining. I'll do that. But no, instead he makes a public video to force me to post a comment saying, yeah, no, I didn't mean to imply Tommy was okay with what I said. I just meant that Tommy understood that I'm Gary and he's Tommy and I don't have the same values as Tommy has, and that was it. But then he kind of bent it too into some sort of bullshit that I challenged him to a boxing match, when what I really said is if you're gonna, we were talking about him, you know, he lives pretty close and he might come down here, and so we just talked about, well, I said if you're gonna bother coming, we got to put on a show. So, you know, we got to come up with some kind of show. And so I was thinking of an even better thing would be something like an Olympics, you know, like the decathlon or something. Like we'd have 7 events, just so that it's not obviously, you know, so we could do the arm wrestling thing, right-handed and left-handed, and then we could do, you know, but, you know, and then we could have the last event, if he has to do it, we could have some sort of I might hurt you event. But, I mean, I really wouldn't feel very good. You know, if I actually did get a good punch off and I broke Tommy's nose, I wouldn't feel good about that. I mean, that would bother me. You know, so, I mean, that's the only problem with fighting somebody you don't really hate, is it would bother me. So, I mean, I really need to, you know, if we're going to really have a fight, Tommy, we're going to have to come up with something a little more, we're going to have to, you're going to have to violate one of my cats or something. You're going to have to do something to really piss me off. But I am pissed off at this whole bullshit that you turned this into something when it was nothing. You called me, fucker. And I don't know exactly why you did. Maybe you called me because you wanted to fight some more, and then I disengaged the fight because I said, hey, it was a pretty funny video, wasn't it, Tommy? The one to him, anyway. But I don't know. I mean, you just kind of turned it into something I don't like what you turned it into. And I think the better move would have been just to PM me and say, hey, Gary, what you said just didn't sound quite right. Maybe you could just mention in your next video that you didn't mean to make an implication that I was laughing at any of these FuckPouch jokes, because I didn't laugh at any of them. Now, granted, I don't think he did. Okay, so I'm stating for the record, Tommy didn't laugh at any of the FuckPouch jokes. But I didn't tell any in the fucking phone call. But anyway, so then I found out the real thing that bugged me is I found out he took the fucking video down that he made because Jesus freak asked him to, and that pissed me off. That just pisses me. He's letting this fucking religious shyster censor him, and that's just, what the fuck? I mean, what the fuck? Yeah, I think that sucks. Oh, people will hear that video and then they'll know that he made a video and then he'll know he made a video. And so this whole idea is that Jesus Freak wants to censor the internet. His daughter needs to be protected from reality. She needs to know that there's not nasty, evil people out there who make suggestions like, maybe you shouldn't get surgery because, you know, men is dogs. And they really, if they care at all about you, they really aren't going to give a shit. I said it, you're a pretty girl, you're really not going to have a problem. Now, you might imagine there's a problem, but there's really not. There's a ton of men who just couldn't care less. They really can't. There's lots of ways to satisfy a man. It's really not that tough. I mean, really, once their dick is hard, the game is already, you're already halfway past it. Your foot is already in the air and it's going to hit the finish line. I mean, it just, anyway, but this is just such bullshit. It's bullshit. Everything surrounding this whole thing is all bull fucking shit. So, you know, but this does piss me off, like I said. You know, all this mushy talk about what wonderful Christians they are, what wonderful people we're trying to be because we're Christians. Again, inmendham's atheist death cult. He knows that's a lie. He came into my stickcam rooms years ago, and he knew it was a lie then. How come he doesn't know it's a lie now? What's changed since then, Brett? You fucking liar. Alright, of misery and suffering. Now he knows my key issues are exactly the opposite. He sat there in my room, and we made video exchanges on the subject of vegetarianism, and he conceded a lot of the arguments. He conceded he's just a little too selfish to do it. But he conceded that it's pretty fucking rational to be able to say, yeah, why am I petting a cat and eating a pig? It doesn't make much fucking sense. So what a fucking goddamn piece of work. Christian. The honest Christians. Oh yeah, fuck that. And even fucking, FakeSagan. I mean, I'll have to go replay the video, I suppose. But now he's saying, I didn't pray, at least I didn't pray for Gary's death. You did everything but I think you actually did. I think you actually did say the word I pray, that he gets what blah 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 blah. I pray the Lord sees function in annihilating him into a greasy spot or some kind of crap like that. But whatever, I don't really care, but I mean, just saying, it just sounds, again, more word games, more blah blah blah. I don't care. Like I said, I know he was angry, and I understand that. Okay, I understand being pissed off. I understand saying shit that, fuck, I shouldn't have said it that way. So I'm not worried about that part. I mean, I don't care, but I'm just saying, why this is the Brett Keane way of redefining reality. Is let me use careful language to basically not tell anything close to the truth. Let me just avoid the question and evade the reality. So maybe when you asked him, did you ever hit your wife, you should have asked, did you ever do anything physically aggressive that may by a reasonable person be interpreted as abusive. Something. But whatever. Who could be bothered? But anyway, it is funny that he's put these stupid videos on VidMe. They don't play. I'll try on my Windows 10 computer at some point, but yeah, it just doesn't do nothing. It just sits there and says, yeah, I'm a video, but there's no video in the video. No minutes of video in the video. So whatever. You have to go through all this crap to go find it for that. But anyway, yeah, and his homepage is all littered with all this whatever rock and roll shit and all this other crap. I mean, none of that shit was Jesus's way. So I mean, it's all kind of bullshit, right? I mean, let's quote some selective Bible quotes, and we'll just pretend the rest of the Bible doesn't say a damn thing, and we'll just keep putting crosses everywhere, because we have no respect for what that symbol means. But again, that's another thing that came out of the FakeSagan interviewing Brett Keane thing, was this idea that what would you do if you were there when Jesus was getting arrested? And, Brett Keane saying, well, if I was in a big fat manatee, or I think maggot, I'd roll onto the Romans or the Jews or whoever, I guess it was the Romans, and try to squash them with my huge bulk, or some kind of bullshit. Like, yeah, Brett Keane would be a hero and try to save the day. I mean, who believes that? Who believes that Brett Keane would save Jesus? But he'd go to the cross for him. Who believes I might? Yeah, more believable, I think. I don't see Brett Keane jumping on any goddamn grenade for anybody. I couldn't, my shoe was stuck. I had gum on the ground. I chewed some gum and I stepped on it. My foot was stuck to the ground. I couldn't get to the grenade. It'd be a story. Some fucking excuse. I got sciatical, bladical, and it's not. You can't see it in an X-ray, but it's the nerves are all pinched in there and upside down and stuff. Sure they are, Brett. So anyway, but all this use of this symbol, right now, this symbol is supposed to. They're talking like it's our salvation. Now, how did the world change from what it was before Jesus to what it was after Jesus died on the cross? Where's the example how it turned into some wonderful place? Because all I can see in human history is it turned into a fucking meat grinding death mill of a bunch of arrogant motherfuckers, putting that cross on there, wearing it, and then going off to kill and 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 take and take and take and take and take. Just a bunch of greed. It just empowered a bunch of greedy people to take and steal, kidnap, extort. Where was any good done under the name of this thing? The kings, the rest of them, they're all, creating their own churches under the cross, in the name of the cross. And what sins were forgiven? Not Eve's, right? Quite obviously. Now, if it was said as a biological fact that women before Jesus had huge problems having babies, and then after Jesus everything was easy, no more pain in childbirth, no more bloody issues, no more periods. Were women given any of this forgiveness? Not Eve's sin. Nope. Fuck that. Jesus didn't die for her. She's supposed to be still rotting in hell, I would suspect, right? Unreclamatable. So she is so fucking evil. Even no other person of known history, as far as we know. I mean, Jesus didn't write in the clouds, "Don't worry about the Hitler thing. I've got him in hell now." He didn't write that anywhere. He didn't curse all Germans with facial warts, did he? Or anal, or any other kind of known misery. There's no evidence that he did anything to force somebody to pay for that sin. So I mean, this whole bullshit, this whole, the poor will be with you always. That's that's Jesus's parting words. The poor will be with you always. I'm here for but a short while, the same short while you're here. So, what does that have to do with anything? How does that mean something to anybody? And so again, what did he fix? Did leprosy go away? No. Did our fetters go away? Did our miseries go away? No. Where's the benefit of this cross except giving a bunch of assholes arrogance? It fed the arrogance and the the ego and the bravado and the macho of a bunch of people. It empowered them to do evil. Didn't make the world a better place. Didn't make more humble human beings. Didn't do a goddamn good thing. Not one goddamn good thing. Except make liars. Selling fucking snake oil. So for this alone, Brett Keane's a liar. I mean, for calling it a death cult when he knows that's not what it is. For saying I in any way support anybody dying or committing suicide. Never find a video where I suggest that people, because life sucks, they should commit suicide. Nowhere. I mean, you're just a liar. Fuck. I mean, it's one of the first, it's in the 10 Commandments, for fuck's sake. But I mean, it's just, what? Do unto others, have others do unto you. And then you whine because you get cheated and beaten and lied about. You whine about that. And yet you do it. You get what you deserve, fuckhead. Alright. So, yeah, that's probably enough. I don't know if there's anything else related to this slop that I need to address. Yeah, I know. I think that's done it. So let's see if I can get into a fight with somebody else over this crap. But I mean, it is crap, and somebody should call somebody on it. Again, both FakeSagan and Brett Keane think the best thing they did in their lives was giving money to Stephanie. And I would argue that, yes, sacrificing the money, at least in FakeSagan's case. I know Brett Keane is just doing it for the cha-ching, cha-ching future credibility points. Remember when I gave that donation after the other guy did it, and he looked really good, so I wanted to look good. But FakeSagan didn't have to do it. FakeSagan did it because he did it for his own stuff, for his own, measure his own character. He tested himself, and I credit that. But I'm just saying, don't tell me this was the best cause. This is the best place to flush $1,000. Because where the $1,000 went is into Jesus Freak's goddamn pocket. It went into his equity. It kept him rich. And it made you poor. And you should understand that's what happened. Okay? Stephanie's thing would have been just the same. That was going to happen anyway. And all that changed is money that poor people had went into the pocket of the rich. And that's it. So don't pretend something else took place here. A con artist conned you. Period. And he used his kid to do it. He used a pretty face of his own daughter to do it. Made her a poster child for a con. And you fuckers are defending it. And I just... like I said, FakeSagan's a Christian, so he thinks it's okay. Christians can commit no crimes. But Tommy for the Bronx is an atheist, he says. Well, he's a pretty fucking lame one. If he's going to sit there and say, I like con artists. Especially when they're Christian. Crosses are pretty. Maybe that's an Italian thing. I don't know. But fuck. Bullshit called. Thank you very much.